Michael, let's start off the implications of this split and the I guess, efforts that the Israeli defence forces have made so far in this ground incursion.
Yeah, Heidi. So as you mentioned in the lead-in, they've surrounded Gaza City and they've sort of cut off the northern section of Gaza, and they're making these incursions bit by bit. But as we've seen from some of the pictures, from some of the protests that are going on around the world, the fallout, the casualties are terrible from that as well. And this is the great difficulty from Israel's side and from the US side as well, is how to hold that at bay while the military operation is conducted. And this military operation is so difficult in built-up areas. I mean, it means going house to house, floor to floor, building to building, clearing it of militants, and then trying to hold it as well as you go on to the next one. And in such a built-up area, even with a lot of people having left, and there is a corridor open, according to Israel, for people to keep being able to leave Gaza, it's still going to have a lot of fallout, a lot of civilian casualties, as we've seen. So, yeah, but we're still a long way to go in this operation.
And then, of course, we have Secretary of State Antony Blinken on a tour in the region, Michael, and he made an unscheduled stop in Baghdad. He also spoke with Mahmoud Abbas in the West Bank. What exactly is his mission? You know, ostensibly it's to try and get some kind of a ceasefire or multiple ceasefires, but is he really looking for what might be done post the war part of this?
Yeah, I think a bit of both, Vonnie. He's certainly... I think he's trying to sort of push back on the idea of a ceasefire. Neither Israel or the US wants that. They don't want to give Hamas a chance to reorganise. So he's sort of trying, I think, to bring them towards the US-Israel side of humanitarian pauses, brief pauses to allow people to move out of conflict zones. But yes, certainly with the Palestinian Authority, there seems to be an element of what comes after. And the talk is that the US would be keen on the Palestinian Authority resuming control in the West Bank once Hamas has been eliminated. But there's a lot of conjecture over how this might work. There's talk that Israel wants to keep security control over the Gaza Strip. How that would work is an open question, I guess. Then there's also talk of wanting to bring in Arab states as peacekeepers there as well. The Palestinian Authority doesn't really have the resources to look after Gaza, and of course it's going to be in a really, really degraded state as well. I mean, a euphemism for buildings flattened and essential services not there. So they're going to need a huge amount of support. So it's going to need a major coordinated effort, and I think that underpins a lot of Blinken's diplomacy of late.
Mike, at the same time, we're seeing the reaction when it comes to these pretty incendiary remarks being made by a minister in Israel. Does this kind of, I guess, add to some of the domestic context, right, of what Netanyahu is dealing with at home?
It is. I mean, when he formed his government, Prime Minister Netanyahu brought in some fairly extreme right-wing groups, and I mean, the minister's since clarified, saying he was speaking metaphorically, which of course he was. I mean, no one's going to drop a nuclear bomb on Gaza, but it's just these sort of remarks, and these guys are also linked to the West Bank, to a lot of the settler movements there as well. They're really out on the fringe of the Israeli political scene, and Netanyahu needed them to form his government as he sort of fights these court cases that have been going on as well. So yeah, that certainly doesn't make it any easier to negotiate internationally and to try and keep this moderate view that Israel's fighting Hamas, not the Palestinian people.